Stephen, ready to go.
Thank you, Scott, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. This morning I'm going to be talking about finding your dream job, and I would say that's obviously in the construction sector, but what we're going to talk about today is as relevant for whatever industry you're probably looking at in terms of pursuing a career in. Myself, I'm Business Development Director at Hadden Group. I'm a Chartered Architect by profession, but I wasn't always a Chartered Architect. I used to drive a van for a living, and for a number of years I was actually a postman. But I studied architecture, and I joined Hadden in 2004 in a land buying and development capacity, and moved into business development and sales and marketing, and I joined the board of Hadden in 2014. Who are Hadden Group? Well, we're Perthshire based, but we operate throughout the country. We are currently working with North Lanarkshire Council in partnership on a new build housing programme. Our construction division are helping the council deliver projects at the moment. We've just finished one in Wishaw. We've got another project in Christon, and we're on site with a big project of 30 odd houses in Airdrie at Northburn Avenue. But we comprise a construction division, we comprise Hadden Homes, which does our private house building, and we comprise our small works division, which is Hadden General Works, which does smaller scale refurbishments. It could be staff room refurbishments, toilet refurbishments in public buildings and that type of work. Who are Hadden? Well, we were established in 1992 by Scott Hadden, our chairman. Important to say, Scott has made a very successful career for himself, established a very good business in Hadden Group, but Scott left school without a qualification. He left school with no qualifications and was fortunate to get a joinery apprenticeship with the Smarts the Builders in Edinburgh. He worked hard, he got his apprenticeship, and he moved to London to earn some money for a couple of years, and he came back up the road with £10,000, bought a white transit van and started our business. And from there, in 1992, we've grown to over 90 staff, and we support over 400 jobs weekly, and probably at the moment about a £40 million per annum turnover. What do we build? We do lots of different things. We do early years centres, nurseries. We do community centres. This is one in North Lanarkshire. Humanes. We do historic building refurbishments. This is a public event square in Perth, a community centre in the northeast of Fife. We also do Starbucks, Domino's, Greggs. We've just started looking at doing some Lidl projects in the retail sector as well. We do cinemas. We do affordable housing. There's a project here that we're just started on site in Perth at Fairfield for 18 apartments. And I thought this, for those who maybe attended yesterday, I'm just going to quickly just touch on the type of job roles that are in construction, because if you want to find your dream job, then you have to understand, what kind of roles there is in construction. And you can see there, most people think construction is, it's digging holes, it's hammering bits of wood together, it's pouring concrete, it's driving diggers and things like that. And yes, there absolutely is a place for that. But as you can see from the range of job roles that are there, and by no means is that extensive and comprehensive there, but you can see we do have the trades, joiners, painters, bricklayers, plasterers, but we also have people there, on the project management side, business development, pre-construction, the design side, health and safety, customer care, sales and marketing. So there's a whole host of opportunities in construction. It's not all about get your hands dirty all of the time, as I can evidence myself. And then a lot of you might be thinking about, an apprenticeship. And again, I think there's this kind of misconception that it's only trades apprenticeships that you can actually do. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Because if we have a quick look at some of the opportunities that are available at college through traditional craft trades apprentices and also modern apprentices, you can see there, we have people in our business that actually, we pay them to do digital media. So if you like your TikToks and your Snapchats and your YouTubing and video production and stuff like that, there's a job for you, digital media. You enjoy photography, we need people to take pictures of our completed projects to promote them. Marketing, digital marketing, interior design, graphic design, we need people to design our brochures, our websites. So there's a whole sort of industry, if you like, around digitalisation in construction, which many people often forget about. Before you actually think about your dream job, I suppose what I would encourage you to do is to think about, you know, what it is that you want to do. I think it's important that, as this slide sort of illustrates, know who you are as a person, know what you like, maybe more importantly, know what you dislike, know what you don't enjoy doing, so that you can actually choose something that actually complements your skill sets. You'll understand best what your skills are in terms of, if you like working with your hands, or if you like working with your head, or if you're good at maths, good at English, communication, these types of things. So it's important to understand who you are as a person, your values, and that will help you in terms of understanding and deciding what career or what trade or what occupation you might like to progress, if you like, once you actually leave school. Once you've got a better understanding of that, it makes it much more easy to actually, research your careers options. There is a good website, construction related, called goconstruct.org. There's details on my last slide that I can share with you, but that has a lot of things around there about all the different opportunities in construction, career pathways. There's a personality test thing on there that you can answer some questions, and it might actually signpost you to particular job roles that you might be well suited to, but I think it's important that when you leave school that you spend a hell of a lot of time at your work. So it's really, really important that you actually choose something that you enjoy doing, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I love what I do. I enjoy my job. It's very varied. It's a challenge at times, but I enjoy a challenge, and I think it's really, really important that when you're choosing a career, that you pick something that you enjoy doing, that you want to get out of your bed on a Monday morning, that you want to smile when you come to work. There's nothing worse than choosing a job that you maybe don't enjoy, that you don't want to be there. And to be honest, it's often the case that if you do find yourself in that situation, sometimes we go down the wrong path. Be brave there. Do a wee bit of a reverse there, and maybe go down a different path if you find that it's maybe not all that it's cracked up to be. So have that courage of your convictions to actually, say, look, I maybe made a mistake, I'm going to try something else. I think it's important to say as well that, when we look at young people coming into our business, we don't expect people who are coming into our business to have, to know everything. It's impossible. I'm always learning myself. But there's things that you actually have, kind of attributes and passions and stuff like that you can have. And that, I thought this was a really interesting slide. 10 things that require zero talent. Be on time, have a good work ethic, put in your best effort, have good body language, don't sort of give off all the negative vibes and stuff. Have a lot of energy, be keen about doing well, have a great attitude. Passion's really important, I think. If you can demonstrate that passion, then it will in your working career, then that will certainly serve you well. Being coachable. Now, what that means there really is just, being able to accept instruction, but also probably be mature enough to actually accept constructive criticism. Could we do this a wee bit better? Look, I see you're doing it that way. What about maybe trying it this way, because this way might be better? Doing that wee bit more, and obviously, being prepared to work hard, essentially, and get on in life. And I appreciate that more recently it's been quite challenging, I think, in terms of work experience programs. I don't know how many of you have managed to go out and get a bit of work experience there, but certainly if you can get a bit of work experience under your belt, then it helps in terms of you actually moving into the job market, because it demonstrates to employers that you've actually gone out and actually worked for a bit. The value work experience, it's a great thing. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we've not been able to run our work experience programme at present, although we're hopeful that we might manage to get that up and running very soon as restrictions ease. But it's a great opportunity for employers and young people to almost try before you buy, that you can get a feel for the job, you can understand it. Maybe you go on a work experience placement, you might actually hate it. Or you go on and you think, no, that's reconfirmed my thoughts. I do want to move into whatever trade or or sector of industry you might want to move into, but it addresses the industry skills gap. And I think the good thing about bringing young people into our business is that you can bring new ideas and skills. You know, not everybody in our business is great at digital media and social media and stuff like that. You know, we pay people to do that. There is a job role there. But you guys have all got, you know, bright ideas and skills, and, you know, there's opportunities for us to get better at what we do through bringing young people into the business. And I think the beauty of work experience as well is it gives young people like yourself, it gives you an insight into what we do, who we are. You can almost treat it as a kind of a test to see whether you actually like working there, you know. And it also introduces you, I suppose, to that phrase. I use the phrase adulting, but what I mean there, and that was a phrase that was coined by one of our recent graduates who'd come out of university and actually came to work for us. In that at present your school day is what, 9 till 3 maybe, whereas at work it could be 8 till 4, it could be 8 till 5, it could be 9 till 5. It's much longer hours that you do there, so that can be a wee bit of a culture shock to some people. That, yeah, you have to get out of your bed on a Monday morning, yes, you have to come to your work 5 days a week, you know, and it's getting into that mindset of doing it. But we see work experiences as a great way of getting early engagement with good young people to bring them into the business. So if you want to find your dream job, then the best advice that I can tell you is just tell everybody that you're looking for a job. You know, shout loud, speak to your parents, speak to your pals, speak to your parents' pals, your grannies, grandpas, your extended family, your friends at school. Tell them what it is that you're wanting to do. If you've set your heart on doing a particular job role, tell them what it is, because what that does then is that everybody wants you to do well in life. So they'll keep an eye out, and if they hear of a job vacancy, or they maybe pick something up in the local newspaper or see it online that somebody's hiring, then it expands the reach of you being able to actually spread that network and actually make people aware and get visibility, if you like, of the opportunities that are out there. And it lightens the load for yourself, because everybody else will be looking out for you to help you find that job, as opposed to it just all resting on your own shoulders. So, you know, it's really important that if you decide what you're going to do, is that you actually tell everybody that you know, advertise it, advertise yourself. And if you're searching for that dream job, you know, there's a variety of opportunities to actually find that job. As I say, one, certainly your close family, friends, your family networks and stuff like that, schools, careers. But not so much nowadays. But you still get, you know, some people still put job adverts in the local newspapers. Most of it, to be fair, is normally online. And I know certainly that all of the stuff that we do, we don't actually use printed newspaper adverts anymore. Ours is normally published on our website, but it also goes on our Twitter and Facebook pages as well. And it goes on to the online job, like S1 Jobs and things like that, and Indeed. So it's important that if you are looking for jobs, that you probably go out and actually register onto these job portals. But the other thing that I would suggest is that if you do decide, say for instance, that you want to get into, say you want to be a plumber, I would do a wee bit of research, and I would look locally, and I would look and see if there's plumbing companies there. And I would write them just a non-spec sort of inquiry, maybe drop them a wee email, introducing yourself and saying you're really keen to be a plumber. You know, could I come in for a bit of work experience? Or could I, you know, do you have any job vacancies, any apprenticeships, that type of thing? What it demonstrates then is it demonstrates initiative to employers. Employers recognise that you've got a bit of get up and go, that you want to get on in life, that you're keen to learn, that you're keen to find a role. So that would certainly help. The other thing that I would say is that, you know, if you are looking for that dream job, and it goes back to the work experience factor, in that if you've not had great work experience, there's things that you can actually put on your applications and things like that, that will help. You know, if you want to get into construction, you know, and you've never had that work experience, It could be the case that if somebody was, if you'd a joinery company and fitting a new kitchen to your house, or plumbers in fitting a new bathroom and stuff like that, take an interest, find out what they're doing, give them a wee hand type thing. And what you can actually do quite legitimately is actually you can pop that on. If you're doing a bit of DIY in the house, get involved in it, get your hands dirty, and you can actually pop that in your CV. Moving on then, if you identify a job, if you can identify a job that you fancy, what you'll find is you'll have obviously discovered the job advert. Now, this probably goes back to, I'm not sure, I would call it interpretation, but it almost goes back to using your skills in English to essentially to read, understand, interpret and comprehend what the job advert actually is. Now, what I've actually got up there, this was a real job that we advertised for a modern apprentice in estimating. And you'll see there, it'll tell you about the type of training that you'll actually get, the attendance at college that's required on day release, and then you'll see there, halfway down is essential meticulous attention to detail, highly organised, demonstrably good time management skills, prioritising workloads, coordinating tasks simultaneously. Now, these are all sort of high level type values or character traits and skills that we're actually looking for there. So when you're actually looking at this, it's a bit like doing an English interpretation question, is pick out the key details in terms of what the employer's actually looking for, and then tailor your application to actually address that. Meticulous attention to detail. Well, what I'd be thinking about there is, okay, if I went for an interview, what might I get asked if I had to demonstrate attention to detail? Have I got recent life experience or stuff, it could be at school, it doesn't need to be work experience, but have I got stuff where I could actually say, oh, there was a time when I had to pay a lot of attention to detail because we were doing this really intricate project at school, and we really had to make sure we got it right, and here's what we did to make sure that we got it right. There's things like that and good examples that you can actually give. So it's important that you kind of think about how you can actually demonstrate good time management skills. This could be, you could be saying, well, I've actually got a wee job at the moment, I'm never late, or I was on a deadline and here's how I had a project deadline at school, and here's how I managed the workload so that I could actually hit that deadline so that I didn't fail. So there's things that you can actually get there. So that's a job advert, but I would also say as well that you will get, or you should always ask for, employers will always have a full job description. So if that job advert doesn't actually give you the job description and a better understanding, drop them an email, ask them, say, look, do you have a job description that goes with that? Because what that does, as you can see there, is it actually goes into more detail in terms of what the job role is. What's the purpose of the job? What's the key tasks? Now, if you look down that, you might actually look at that and think, oh well, I only feel comfortable maybe doing 50% of those tasks. But what you need to remember there is that we do not expect the finished article in terms of apprentices. We're there to actually give you that training and give you those skills. What we're wanting is that attitude, if you like, that positive can-do attitude, that you're going to give it your all to actually get on and make that role a success. But you can see things in there, about college day release, what would you be doing, maintaining, updating subcontractor database, coordination of quality, assisting with site visit reports, so you can see the types of things, and we don't expect you to know all of that. That's the type of stuff that you will learn on the job, but it just gives you a better understanding, if you like, of the job role. And then if you're going to actually apply for the job, most of them, it will either be an application form or it will be a CV, which would go in along with a cover letter. And it's important to say that you should tailor your CV for every job. Don't just have one standard stock answer type CV. If there's particular skill sets that a job's looking for, then make sure that you actually weave it into, certainly into your cover letter. It's a good opportunity to actually sell yourself. How to create a good CV? Well, what would you put in your CV? Well, you should put in, obviously, your personal details, contact details. They need to be able to get in touch with you. You need to put in, a wee bit of a personal statement, who you are, what type of person you are, what floats your boat, what makes you, what gives you a buzz, who you are as a person. Relevant key skills and how they relate to the job. Your work experience, and as I said earlier, that doesn't have to be formal work experience through school. That could actually be helping out a neighbour, a relative, your parents in terms of DIY in the house or that type of thing. It could also be stuff around if you play for a football team or a sports club and you're maybe coaching younger kids and stuff like that, helping out. That's great experience to demonstrate that you're willing to actually, share knowledge and things like that and help people out. So that can stand you stead as well. And then, of course, your education and qualifications that would go in there, along with a wee bit of, your hobbies and interests. We're not just expecting robots. We want to know that you've got a healthy work-life balance there. And what's good in terms of CV? Well, that's just, there's an example there of just a very basic but effective CV that's there. And then often, what should you not include in your CV? Well, I wouldn't bother putting on a relevant job experience. You don't need to put on your date of birth nowadays. We're looking for the person that's right for the job role, so age is irrelevant. Don't put on any private information, and we recommend certainly don't put references on. You can put on at the bottom of it, references are available on request, but the reason why we say don't put references on is that if they're going to move forward with you, if they've read your application and they're interested and they're maybe going to invite you to an interview or something, then they will take up the references. So they'll get in touch and say, look, could you provide me with details? And what that does is it gives you a little heads up in terms of knowing, oh, my CV is of interest, they must be progressing my application. And then you can actually go and speak to your references. Look, this company, Hadden Group, might be in touch with you asking for a reference. I'm just wanting to make you aware of it type thing. So it gives you a bit more intelligence in terms of the job hunting role. And then I suppose it's a case of, will you get the interview? If you've done your homework in terms of the job application, in terms of tailoring your CV and your cover letter towards that, I would certainly recommend that to assist that process, have a look on the company website, find out a bit more about them, about their values, find out if you would actually like to work for them. Do their values align with your values? Would they be a good place to work? Do you know anybody that works there already? Type thing. These are the types of little nuggets of information that will stand you in good stead. But in terms of the actual interview, I will be doing another session tomorrow at 9:10 in terms of how to smash an interview, so you can find out more about that tomorrow. And that's me done. So I've got some time there, 5 or 6 minutes for any questions if anybody's want to pop them in the chat or unmute themselves and ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Great, really insightful session. And, just to kick off, letting us know a little bit about yourself and I guess Scott Hadden as well and how the group was founded is really insightful as well. So I'm just going to encourage everyone to pop any questions into the chat. If you could ask the young persons in the meetings if they have any questions. And I'll probably just kick off, Stephen, just whilst anyone's popping some information into the chat, is just for yourself, your kind of career into construction was a little bit varied, would we say? When you started off, did you have one eye where you were thinking that construction industry was maybe for you and that's the sector you wanted to go into?
I've got one word for that, I suppose, and it sounds terribly bizarre. Lego. When I was young, I used to enjoy Lego, building things, creating things, making things. And that's probably what inspired me to become an architect, as it were. Yeah. I'd probably known from maybe about second, third year at school that I fancied being an architect. And I suppose, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, that don't be afraid of if you go into a job role that you don't like, don't be afraid to do a wee bit of reversing. in terms of my role, although I'm still a chartered architect, I don't do design work now. I've actually moved into a business development role, but the skills, the transferable skills that I've developed in terms of being able to communicate with people, in terms of my background, in terms of my construction knowledge and stuff like that, means that I can, I can do the job role that I've got. I wouldn't be able to do the job I've got at the moment without actually having gone down that career path.
Brilliant. And do you have any apprentices in your team at the minute? Do you have any young people?
We do, yep. We've got at the moment we've got some joinery apprentices in various years 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think, at the moment. We also have some modern apprentices in the office. We've got Aidan, who's doing a modern apprenticeship in estimating and buying. So he goes to college 1 day a week. Yeah, so we've got a range. As I say, we've got a number of people in the business who have gone through their apprenticeship and have grown through that. Started off as an apprentice, and I've now got people who started off as apprentices with us who are now senior site managers. So that you've got that opportunity for career progression there from an apprenticeship.
Okay, so we've got the first question coming in from the group there. It's from Mr. Kavanagh's meeting. So what age does your company take on apprentices? And it's one of the S2 pupils that's asking that question.
We can actually take on apprentices from the age of 16. That's when it would start, and it would normally be, if it was a trade apprentice, that would normally be a 4-year programme with sort of block release or day release, if you like, to college on a weekly basis or monthly basis. So yeah, 16.
And I think a few of the apprenticeship sort of job profiles that you're putting up there for your organisation were modern apprentices. Does your group take foundation apprentices as well?
To be honest with you, we haven't actually had a foundation apprenticeship yet, Scott. It's something that we're actually looking at. It's all been modern apprentices that we've actually had, more so for the kind of office-based type roles, and the support roles.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that I found quite inspiring, I guess, is just the story of Scott Hadden as well. Is he pretty visible around the organisation for like an apprentice and so on? Is he someone that the guys see quite often?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Scott recognises the value in apprenticeship. For young people, that's how he got his start in life. So he's very passionate about bringing apprentices on. He will sit. He still wants to sit and will want to sit on the interview panel when we're actually hiring apprentices, recruiting them. So he wants to. I think he likes to see, to make sure they've actually got that kind of fire in their belly and that desire, if you like, because it's a big investment for ourselves as an employer, and it's really important that we actually, get the right people.
Yeah, I think that slide that you put up with the 10 behaviours about attitude, passion, and so on, that kind of gives you an insight into what sort of people that you're trying to get into the group. Yeah. So Mrs. Whitelaw's class has asked another, in what areas do you offer work experience when obviously you're able to? I think you suggested it's not quite open yet, but it's about to be. And how do you advertise it? Is it just word of mouth, or are we going to be communicating it through the likes of ourselves?
To be honest, it would normally be through DYW and partnerships with the schools, and it normally revolves around, if we're working in the area, then there's normally a suite of what we call community benefits, contractual obligations that we have to actually deliver over and beyond the construction, and that could, that often includes, work experience placements. Sessions like this, in terms of employability and careers. So it's normally done through kind of liaison and partnership with DYW, who will promote to the schools in the local area and say, look, Hadden Construction or Hadden Group are building, here we've got opportunities for work experience. It doesn't actually get advertised, if you like, on the careers section of our website.
And then we've got one more question, which I will do just before we sort of summarise. It's from Mr. Kavanagh's group again. For work experience, who would you say they would need to contact at the Hadden Group? Who would be the best person, or would it just be, a speculative inquiry to HR?
Normally, it would come through either myself or Amanda Cram, our HR manager. But if people did want to get in touch about the opportunities, I mean, in terms of the actual, I just noticed I never fully addressed Mrs. Whitelaw's question there about the areas we offer work experience. If it's a site-based one, what we tend to do is we actually get the young people in just to almost sort of shadow the site manager to get a better understanding of how building sites operate and get a better oversight of all the different trades available. As opposed to just, we can't let, people who want to do a joinery apprenticeship, we can't let them loose with a nail bag and a nail gun, essentially, for health and safety reasons.
Yeah.
But it gives them a more rounded view of how a construction site operates, the various trades, and the kind of, the management of that as well.
Excellent, and I think we'll cover that off in a little bit more detail in your next session as well. So I'll just bring that session to a close because we're more or less out of time there. Thanks very much to Stephen. It's very much appreciated to kick off the day. Another really insightful session. Just for all of the schools that have joined the chat today, I wonder if you could just give us some feedback into the poll that I'm about to launch into the chat, just to give us a bit of feedback on what you thought of the session, and it'll give us some recommendations for any future sessions that we may run as well as an organisation. That'd be very much appreciated if you could do that before you go. But thanks for all the schools that have joined the chat today, and I look forward to seeing you in some of the sessions later on in the week as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you.